Okay, guys, we are here today in the 13th episode of BJJ Fanatics podcast. And today we have the huge honor here to have J'Den Cox with us and also Michael Zenga. So, guys, for those who doesn't know, J'Den is, in my opinion, the best wrestler in the world. And I just it was the first time I met him today, and I also trained with him. Hi, guys. He's a wrestling world champion. He just won the worlds last year in 2018. He also had got third place in the worlds before. He got third place in the Olympics, and he's 3 times NCAA champion. So it's really, really, really impressive. And I was just telling him that normally I would always say that the toughest role I ever did in standing was with Hudson Taylor, who shot a ton of videos. And now it's him. I mean, like, I played around with him standing today. He took me down like 100 times, kind of like just kidding. I felt horrible. And but anyway, huge honor. We shot an entire instruction with him for the Fanatic Wrestling, the new website that we are launching, and also for grapplers. So it came out really, really good. And thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been awesome. My time in Boston, getting to meet everybody and shooting the film for sure.
Yeah. And guys, we're going to ask him a ton of questions here. So can I start, Michael?
Sure.
So Jay, like I came from Jiu-Jitsu, and I did wrestling. I started doing wrestling in 2014 when I lost in the finals of the worlds to one tough opponent that I had. And this was like the game changing for me. Like once I started doing wrestling, I showed like my favorite technique in Jiu-Jitsu is the half guard sweep that I go to the single leg.
Right.
And once I started doing the wrestling, next year was the best year of my career. I won the double gold in the worlds. I was picked as the best fighter of 2015.
Nice.
And I think one thing that helped me a lot was that wrestling mentality, you know, like that keep pushing.
Right.
And I just met you here. You seem like the nicest guy, very calm. But I also saw that when you go do sparring or when you talk about competing, you are super confident and you have that. So tell us a little bit about our mindset. Like how is like.
Well, I think that people have different ways of coming to the same conclusion on their mindsets. Some guys are just like, I got to be nitty gritty tough, and they have that in their mindset. Some guys are just really, are just naturally confident in themselves, and so they get into this like, I'm gonna push myself to go as hard as I need to. For me, the way I gotta get to my confidence and being confident in myself is the 2 things that have made my career, I believe, in my sport is fun and faith. Those are my 2 things, and those lead to, I believe, my toughness, my confidence, my mentality. For instance, like fun is the freedom. It frees you to push yourself as hard as you are willing to go. For instance, like you ever taken a test or something like that? You had to take a test?
Yep.
And you ever had a test for like a class that was really important that you didn't study for?
Yep.
Even though it was like really important for you to pass this class, right? And you didn't put everything towards it because it wasn't fun. It was just like, I just want to get this over with. I don't want to do this. Yet, if you ever went and played a pickup basketball game with your friends, or you played a different sport with your friends, this game means nothing. It doesn't mean anything to nobody. It is like anyone who sees it, no one cares about this game except for you and your buddies. Yet you go out there and you compete the hardest that you can. And you're trying to, like, if it's basketball, you're jumping for rebounds, you're trying to steal the ball, you're trying to be LeBron James out there, basically. And it's, and so it's like you're doing everything you can for this game that has no meaning. That's that freedom of fun, right? So when you have that freedom, it allows you to, it's like, I'm just going to go out here and do everything that I can for something that I love to do, right? And that's what that freedom of fun, that's what it does. The next one is faith, and it's not a religious faith. It's nothing like that. It's a faith in yourself. And basically, what faith allows you to do is walk down the path that has not yet been lit. All right. So basically, it allows you to go where it is dark, where you maybe haven't been. Like when you have an opponent, you ever had an opponent that's taking you deeper and it kind of like pulled you out into the water, so to speak. And it's like he's really tough and he's pushing you, and you're gonna have to push hard back. The faith is what pushes you past that moment, right? Which allows you to walk through this and trust in yourself, in your training, and what you've been through to continue on, even though it's further than where you've been. right? So it's just like I can push back. And the way I explain it to people is like, if I told you to run a mile, you've run a mile before, you know what it's like. So you can run that mile. There's a light. You light that torch, right, on that path, right? But now you got to the point where the last torch isn't lit yet. You haven't gone this far. It's dark. The path's dark ahead. And I tell you, because I tell you to run 7 miles. So now I tell you to run 7 miles. You've never ran 7 miles before. You have no idea what 7 miles is like, right? That path is really dark, right? So you have to keep training for it, right? Keep running. So what you do is like now you're training, you're like, all right, I'm going to run 2 miles now. All right. I light that torch. All right. Now I run 3 miles. I'm lighting that torch. 4 miles. We're lighting that torch. Right. And it's even kind of like someone who runs like a marathon or something. They don't run all those miles every day. All right. And a lot of times they don't even run the race until the race is about to go. They don't run all those miles, but they've done the training. And so then they have faith in themselves to then push themselves. Hey, I don't know what it's like to run 26 miles like straight up, but I know that I've run 15 and I have enough light and I know I can push to go further.
It's like small wins to get that big win and to get the faith to get there, right?
Exactly. And so you have faith in that training and faith in that where you've been so that you can have the faith and the strength to go to where you have never seen and continue on.
I got it. No, man, I agree 100%. And I think that's kind of how life is, right? For you to conquer anything, to achieve anything, you're not going to get there and you're going to get what you want since the beginning. You're gonna win a little step by step until you get like, so for example, in Jiu-Jitsu, it would be like, oh, you want to be a black belt world champion. First, you're going to need to win the tournament as a white belt, win the tournament as a blue belt, maybe lose some tournament, beat that guy that had already won.
Right.
And then little by little start. I know, that's amazing.
No, for sure. And then it's like also, you ever done a workout and the first time you did it, it was horrible?
Yep.
Well,
a lot of times. Actually.
so the first time you do a workout, it's hard and you hate it and you're like, I can't do this. And it seems like the worst thing in the world. That was you lighting the torch, because then you ever come back and do it again and you're like, it really wasn't that bad.
I got it. Yeah, I agree.
Right? So that's like you've been there before. Now you've lit that torch. You walked that path. You understand what it's like. So now your job is to find the next next place to light the torch and light up further down the path.
Yeah, what's the next challenge? Right?
Exactly?
No, I agree. No, that was a great answer, and I think I think that's exactly how it happens in Jiu-Jitsu, because it's always this, like it's always like you win that tournament. Now what's the next one that's a little higher, and then when you see you're in the very top and everybody's chasing you now,
and then you're just running. You don't light torches. You're just like, I'm gonna take off because it's lonely at the top and people are running after me. So I mean, I understand that too. And like, I'm in that position. Now I've won a world title and having people, I know that the world's preparing for me. And my job, and it's people get this misconception of like I need to prepare for the world now. It's like no, I need to prepare for myself. Myself is the biggest my biggest opponent. I have to push myself to get better, to push harder, and that will translate over towards my opponents and on the mat.
I agree. No, man, that's amazing. And and now what's next for you is probably like you're probably preparing for the big goal is the Olympics, right?
For sure. For right now, though, my next competition will be Pan Ams in Argentina in April. That'll be my first competition back of the 2019 season.
Man, that's amazing.
Worlds, I believe, are moved back to August now. That's when they were in 2017. I know they moved them back this year.
Where are they this year?
They're in Kazakhstan this year.
Wow.
So I've never been there before. I've wrestled a few people from there, but never been there. So it'll be interesting.
I saw a movie about Kazakhstan. It was about a reporter that came from there to the U.S. Borat. Just I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. No, it's the Sacha Baron Cohen movie. We won't get but it's a whole joke movie. But what I was gonna say. So J'Den, you and I started talking last night. It was a funny story. So basically, I booked him at a hotel, and Expedia, like they moved like another location across the street, and so we're there talking. It took like 15 minutes, and I finally got over there. And then man, we like, oh, can you run up to the room quick? You're like, sure, no problem. Come 15 minutes talk. He's not going to eat after 9. We ended up talking to like 4 hours or something like that. It's like we just hit it off right away. And like we kind of like know each other's life story now, and like we've been talking all day. A couple things I didn't know. I mean, talk a little bit about your background, about how you didn't have much success at first.
Yeah.
And then kind of where you ended up or where you are now.
Well, when I was young, like I started out, like everyone, I think wrestling, just like in, I think a lot of contact sports, like judo, jiu-jitsu, all these contact sports, it doesn't happen like off the bat. Like, don't get me wrong, people have natural ability, people have skills and talent or look promising, but like, it doesn't always pan out to be like when you start, you're like, I'm the man, I'm on top. Especially like in wrestling, I don't know about those other sports, but in wrestling, you're going against everyone. There's no like, well, you wrestle this person because they're on the same level. And in some cases there are, but for the most part, like you wrestle anyone at any level at any time. And so when I was a kid, I lost a lot of matches when I was my first year. I was like, man, I was not that good. I didn't understand necessarily everything that I was probably learning, but I was still trying to pick it up. I did find out that actually when I lost, I was losing. I was mad. I would cry because I was mad because I didn't understand what double elimination meant. And then I found out that it means like if I lose twice, I can't wrestle, right? And so like I'm like, Mom, when I wrestle again, my mom would be like, J'Den, you don't get to wrestle again. And I would start bawling my eyes out, and I'm like, why? Like, it makes no sense. She's like, because of double elimination. I don't know what that is. It's like, I mean,
How old are you at that time?
I'm probably like 4 or 5. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand what you're talking about. So then like after I kind of got it, I realized like what I really disliked was I disliked that I wasn't wrestling anymore. And I realized that, well, you win more, you wrestle more. So I was like, well, then I'm just gonna win. I'd rather win. And so I started winning. And like my second year, I went undefeated my second year. And then as I continued on, there was no way to wrestle in state as a kid. So then I wrestled in state when I was 7 for 8 and under. And I remember that was the first time that I made the state, and I took second. I still remember the kid's name to this day, Matt Schiffner. Great guy. Matt Schiffner beat me in the finals. And then after that,
still in touch with Matt?
Oh no, I'm not in touch with him anymore. Yeah. I think I can't remember the last time I saw him, but I know that the last time I saw him, we had a great conversation, and
cool.
He's a really cool. I think my mom actually probably talks with his family or talks with him. So so that's cool. But
I wonder if he brings it up in conversation. Like, J'Den's good. I mean, did I beat him? Sure. But I mean, is he as good as me? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I won the last time we went.
We haven't gone in a while. I haven't strapped him up. But I mean, he's a good guy, and I don't blame him. He's one of the few people that can definitely say that they've beat me, especially at like the last major tournament.
So how old you were? 7 years old.
7, yes.
So when's the next time you lost the last match of the year?
The next time I lost the last match of the year was in college, my sophomore year. From there on, I won states. And through kids, through high school, I won a freshman national title, and then sophomore year came around, and I lost in the semis to actually Kyle Snyder. So and actually, then after that, I lost to Morgan McIntosh from Penn State, and then I had to go for 5th.
So you're probably, let me try to do some math here. So you probably lost in 2002. Okay, the last match of the year, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And the next time you lost in the last match of the year was 13 years later.
Yeah, it's a rough way to go.
So you won the state championship in every single year up through grammar school, every year of high school, then freshman year of college, and then you lost.
That's good.
That's nuts.
Yeah. It was a rough one, man. It was a rough one in my sophomore year. It took a lot of. I don't know. I remember. After losing in my sophomore year, I had to go back and I was like, there's a lot of things we got to change, because a lot of things I was doing.
You lost to Kyle Snyder.
Well, yeah. But it's like.
A lot of it got to change.
Man, just not working hard enough.
Well, it was more like there were a lot of things in my life that I wasn't doing right. I was living. I'm a very big advocate for like how you live your life off the mat will translate all.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree 1,000,000%.
Oh yeah. So it's like I can't. So like I wasn't living my life right off the mat, which then translated on to my results and affected my training, affected everything about me.
But what's amazing here, Jay, is that you can see that because most of the people are blind for that. Like they don't win the tournaments, and then they think that the problem is on the mat. But many times it's because like they don't sleep enough, they eat bad food, and all that kind of stuff. You know, they have another work after. You know, like so.
No, for sure.
So it's great that you were able to have this vision and say like, wait a second, man, the problem is not on the mat, the problem is off the mat, and fix this part.
And then they affect on the mat stuff, and and it wasn't. And I think like I've been around the sport enough. I think that it's a blessing that I've been around the sport enough so I can kind of realize that and understand that it wasn't an on the mat issue. It was, I was doing this to myself off of it, which then affected things on it.
Okay.
So I think being around the sport and doing it enough kind of opened my eyes to that. And then when you have results like that, like obviously I think that if you truly care about it or you want to make changes, then you're going to look back and say like, what could I have done better to improve myself? And so then when you look back and you have to humble yourself and look at, because in wrestling, just like in any other contact one-on-one sport, you don't get to point the finger at other people.
I agree.
There's no one else to put the finger at but yourself. So you gotta go back and kind of like put yourself down and like, all right, let's focus here. Let's figure this out. Let's understand what's going on.
And I think as well, like in the group sports, not the one-on-one sport, you have a coach, right? That's very well paid to have that job, and then the coach gives you the direction, right? And he tells you like, man, you gotta do this, you gotta do that.
Right.
So in the one-on-one sports, it's kind of like you and yourself, right? You have to figure out everything.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have a coach most of the times, but it's on you.
I understand what you're saying though.
Yeah.
Like you make the decisions out there.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
it's you controlling your body.
Yeah.
Your coach isn't like a puppeteer and just like,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't work like that. So you have to take the responsibility.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to.
Switch the discussion now to team sports. You did well at that too. So we found out you were a high school All-American linebacker, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Well, no, all state. I'm sorry to say all state.
Okay.
So it was as a linebacker. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed football.
How big were you when you played football?
Well, my freshman year I was like 171 pounds, and then after that I was like 215. 207-ish. So it was fun, and I was a linebacker and I was an offensive lineman.
Okay.
So it was fun. I enjoy hitting people, man, with my body. I don't like punching anyone.
Did you get a lot of tackles?
Oh yeah. I don't know how many.
How many tackles a game? A lot?
I have no idea, but I did get a lot. I enjoyed chasing people with the ball. It was my job. Is what I like to do.
And you're probably pretty good. We hit them with double legs for tackles.
Oh yeah. Dude, there's nothing. I don't know what it is, but just something about this ramming. Just getting the right shot on somebody and just putting yourself through their chest. It's like, it just feels nice. It's a nice feeling. Like so. I enjoyed that. I love the pop of the pads. I always love to hit. I even loved hitting my own teammates. Like in practice, I didn't care. Like I'm gonna hit you hard.
You're gonna hit somebody.
Full pad day, we're gonna hit. Yeah. Half pad day, I'll hit you hard. It'll be up here. Yeah. Don't worry. All right. So I loved playing football. It was fun, but I didn't love it as much as I enjoyed wrestling. Wrestling is a whole other world.
When you were playing football, how old are you?
So I was football. I started playing football, I believe, in 7th or 8th grade. And then I continued all through high school.
Got it.
And then actually I was going to play football. I wanted to play football at Mizzou. I just wanted to try something new after I finished my last year for wrestling at Mizzou. And then, I realized, I found out that my scholarship wouldn't transfer over. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to go into debt. And then that's literally what it was. Like, I'm like, I don't want to pay for classes. Like, I haven't had to pay for classes for 4 years. I don't want to start now.
It's going to cost you $20,000 to play football. Yeah.
Right. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And also at that time, Coach Smith had offered me the volunteer assistant position to take for the wrestling team. And I was like, all right, it's cool. Because for me, like, I wasn't going to play football because I was burnt out on wrestling or anything. I just wanted to try something new. And I got what I was looking for just from a different aspect of wrestling now as a coach. So I got to have that fun and try to learn something as a volunteer. So it was really cool.
Yeah, Jay, probably one question that everywhere you go, people ask you, but I'm also going to ask you. So how is your like day schedule? How many hours you train per day and that kind of stuff?
I think that the max amount of hours that I train per day varies around from like between 4 to 6 hours. It depends on the day. It depends on where we're at in the.
And this is like how many classes? Is like two classes of 3 hours, or 3 classes of 2 hours? When it's like 6 hours, how is it?
So in the mornings, it's usually about 2 hours with a lift, and then in the afternoon, it averages about 2 hours in the afternoon. It depends also on who's in and what we're training for. Like these days, we probably go a little bit longer because we don't have anything coming up soon. But then as the tournaments and things roll in, we'll start dialing it down. And we do a lot of things on our own. Like sauna sessions. We'll do. We'll go and climb Pikes Peak, the incline.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Because when we talked last night, you told me about, so the U.S. has had a little resurgence in wrestling here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what you told me is that it's not that the U.S. are necessarily better technical wrestlers, that the U.S. are in better shape. And that's not really the image that you see. Like we've seen so much kind of propaganda from the UFC on Khabib's training and wow, these Russians. But what you're saying is that in the world, the Americans are in the best condition.
Yeah, no, I truly believe like Americans, like the guys that we have on this team, we're the most conditioned team in the world. To compare to any other wrestling team, I truly believe that, and I think it's evidence of it. I mean, when you look at David Taylor, who comes from behind wins. When you look at the guys who are obviously up by points, and where guys usually stop and like they're trying to kind of gain their breath, it's like no, we're coming to get those points. It's like, and I think that the thing about this era that's really different with the people who are involved now with the sport is that like I truly believe like we are there technically. Don't get me wrong, like we're very much there technically. I think we're both there technically, and now we also have this gas tank that is on go.
So what is it that you guys do? Like what specifically?
Yeah, is there anything?
Yeah.
Well, I think we condition a lot. Like
so, like what do your conditioning sessions look like?
Well, one, I had to swim the other day. I've had to start swimming. It's a horrible thing, to be honest. Swimming is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. Oh. Like when I remember KJ told me we're gonna start swimming, and I was like, oh no, gosh, no, please, anything. I'll sprint for however long you want me to do. Anything but that.
KJ?
Kevin Jackson.
Okay.
Kevin Jackson.
He was an Olympic gold medalist. Right?
Yes, Olympic gold medalist. He's actually now my coach now. Cool. So I mean, we do a lot of jogging. We do a lot of runs. We run up Pikes Peak in Manitou, Colorado.
So tell me about that. So what's that? A 1 mile climb?
It's a 1 mile climb. It's about over 2,700 something steps. And you go up it, and I think the fastest time is around like 17 minutes or something like that. And so,
so wait a minute, you're going up, so it's a 20% incline. So because if you're going up, it's a 1 mile, you're taking a 1 mile run, but no, wait a minute. No, how long does it take you? So it's 1 mile, but it's 1 mile up, or is it?
Yeah. So this mountain. So what happens is this mountain, I think, it has stairs in it.
Yeah.
And so you're running up this mountain, and you're literally like kind of like when you start kind of getting up in some areas.
So the trail itself is a mile.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So you run up all the way up this, and there's 2 ways to get up. You can walk up it like there's one without stairs, and it's just kind of like it's really the easier route is just walking up, and you walk back and forth up the mountain.
Yeah.
But the way we take we take the stairs up, right? So we run up these stairs, and I remember, so I wasn't supposed to run it this one time. And so this one time I was with me and the EAP kids who wrestle at the OTC. Those are kids who are training for a year before their college debut. They're going to choose to train and wrestle at the OTC. So I take them with me, and I wasn't even supposed to run it, but I just felt good. I was like, man, I feel like I need to get a workout in. So I start running up this mountain, and I did it in 25 minutes. It was my fastest time, and I was like, all right, man, that's pretty awesome. And then I decided to do a push-up for every stair down. So and it took me about like 3 hours to complete it, to come down, to do a push-up for every step down.
And so how many steps? 2,700 push-ups you did?
Yeah. My hands were jacked up.
Every step down we would do one push-up?
Yeah. So, so I would do a
How long
push-up.
it took?
3 hours. It took me about 3 more
hours.
hours to do it. So I did a push-up, all right, and then I would step down, and then I would do a push-up on the next step. So my hands were like counting basically. So it would be like one on the top, one on the second, and then I would keep going. I actually had one of the guys stay with me because I'm like, hey man, you're gonna have to talk me through this one. And he was like Snapchatting the thing, and I was like, and then the people were telling me like, oh, he's not gonna make it all the way. And that just motivated me more. And then I did. And so I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna make it all the way down.
And would you say like the record? Some distance runner did like 17 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
He probably weighs like 115 pounds or something.
Well, it was either that. I think Apollo Ono has one of the fastest times running up that.
Really?
Yeah, I ran up that trail.
The speed skater.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
I have never met him. I don't know.
He's got jacked legs and
Really?
Yeah.
I've never met him, so I wouldn't even tell.
no,
But I can imagine.
he was a speed skater.
Yeah. Well, for sure, I can imagine like
Yeah.
he's very used to like striding with powerful legs. So
Oh, Jay, and still talking about the physical conditioning aspect, like just to compare, like with Jiu-Jitsu, for example, the Jiu-Jitsu fighters, they do a ton of physical conditioning, but they don't have too much science behind it. They do like as a tough way to do it. So that they go, oh, I'm gonna go up the stairs twice a week. I'm gonna lift weight. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And then, for example, when we shot with Henry Cerrudo, he was telling me that he does all type of blood tests, and then he wakes up and he does a blood test. He see like watches his level, and this day I should go harder. This day there's all type of exams that he does and that. Is it like this on wrestling too, or it's kind of like wake up and you have your schedule and?
I think it depends on the person. I personally don't do that stuff, and nor would I. I wouldn't want my blood drawn that much. So
You hate needles.
I hate needles, man. Why would I want that to happen to me? But so like for us, like KJ, Kevin Jackson, he runs our practices and kind of has our plan filled out. And so basically for me, it's like whatever KJ puts out there, that's what we're gonna do.
It then.
If I feel, and the good thing is that we have a relationship where it's like if I know I know how my body feels.
If we're overtrained, then you're
right. I'm like, hey, I need to calm this down, or can we modify this? But he's very much so on the on the conditioning training. And the thing I love about what KJ does is that it's not necessarily it's not necessarily always running or something like that. It might be the bike, but a lot of things are that he does is wrestling related. Well, now we're gonna train you so we'll bike for a match, right? We'll do 6 minute and so we'll do sprint intervals, like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, or like 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off, and we're doing these sprints on the bike, and then we get back on the mat, and now we're back into in our stance. Now, while you're tired, focus, know the position, know where you need to be, don't let your body, dictate how you wrestle. Your mind needs to control where you're at, where you need to be, and then your body will follow. So I think everything comes back to what we're doing. And he's more than willing to tell you why we're doing something and kind of leave you high and dry on that end. So it's very much related back to what we're originally doing.
I got it. So how many sprints will you do on the bike?
On the bike,
so there's an air bike probably right near the mat.
So there's like in the OTC there's mats. I believe there's 8 mats total laid out, and then on the side of them there's like bikes. What are those things called? Why is that drawing a blank on me?
Those like fan bikes.
Well, yeah,
Treadmills.
Yeah, the treadmills. That's what it was.
The sprint
I
treadmills.
Couldn't remember how to say treadmills, people. I'm not understanding how that happened. But treadmills, apparently, that skipped my mind. Treadmills and stuff, like little row machines and stuff.
That thing the mouse runs on.
Yeah.
But how, like, for instance, how many intervals will you do?
So we've done, I think last time we did was it 3 matches? So it was like 18 minutes total. We've done.
So wait a minute, you're doing 10 seconds on, 20 seconds off for 18 minutes?
Not for 18 minutes straight. So think about a match is only 6 minutes. So you go 3 minutes where you're on the bike. You have a working pace that you have to keep. And then he'll be like, blow the whistle. And he's like, all right, now you got to go for 10 seconds or 20 seconds or 15 seconds. And he's like, you have to sprint for this long. And so then you push yourself as hard as you can. And then he's going to blow the whistle again. And then you're going working pace. And then you keep doing that for the 3 minutes. And then the 30-second break, you get off the bike like in a match. You walk off the mat. All right, you got 30 seconds. Then you get back on and you do it again. And so then after that, you kind of get a minute break or so. maybe 2 minutes, depending on if anyone threw up or not.
And that does happen?
Yeah, it happened. I did it the other day. So the other day we did the 3. I had to puke in the trash can, and it's like, yep, that got me. But then, next thing you know, we're doing.
probably real empathic. He's probably take the rest of the practice off, right?
Well, he's saying actually, KJ is like, if you puke or pass out, that's fine. That's great. That's wonderful. I'm fine with that. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's not that great. It's not that fine. I don't feel that wonderful. But it's like, he's like, if you're working that hard, you're pushing yourself. Yeah. So then,
So this is just kind of like the drilling portion of the practice.
Right. Well, this is the conditioning part of it.
Okay.
Right. Then what we'll do is, so after we did the matches, we went on the mat and we went over like, top, bottom, and it's like
a lot of technical stuff.
Yeah. And so, and he's very smart as far as planning and understanding what we need to go over. So, he's an Olympic champ, 2-time world
UFC
champ.
too, I think.
Oh yeah. I don't know how many times he fought, but,
yeah.
And it was before I never watched it. So, but he's very, the intelligence that he brings to the room, and not only that, the energy that he brings to the room, it makes you want to be in there and you want to push yourself. It makes you want to drive, So, he's an awesome coach, awesome ambassador for the sport, and he really knows his stuff. Definitely knows what he's doing.
No, it's amazing. So Jay, I already asked you this, but I'm sure the listeners would ask you that too. So, do you think about doing MMA and this and that?
No, gosh, no. Do you see this face, right? I can't do that. It's not because it's pretty; it's because it's ugly enough. That's why. All right, it's ugly enough. It doesn't need to get punched anymore. I don't want to. I don't want to get hit. I don't like hitting people with my fist, so I don't want people to like hitting me with their fist. And I've been hit in the face before, and I never, like literally in my life, I've never been hit in the face and been like, I can make a good career out of this. So I'm passing on MMA. It's not my thing.
I respect that. So so what's the goal? For example, once you retire competing, what's the goal? Like, I know you're 23 years old. You didn't mention that here, so it's gonna take a long time probably for you to retire. I bet I'm gonna see you being the first guy to win 3 Olympics or 2 Olympics. You have all this potential. But let's imagine like you are 35 years old or 40 years old. What would you do? Like,
I really want to be a teacher. That's my big goal. I want to be a creative writing teacher for a deaf school. That's really my
awesome.
goal. Yeah. So
tell them why.
Well, one, my big reason for wanting to teach in general, especially with creative writing, is I believe that in today's world, kids don't really have a place to really know and express who they are and to find who they are. And I think in today's world, with how fast, especially with how young people are, how they grow up, and they are filled with knowledge of adults really at this point, And so it's like, I want to give them a place where they can learn and come up with their own opinions, make up their own minds, and really express it. And I believe writing is a great way to do that. I know that's something that I do. I love to write. I want to teach them how to think for themselves, how to express themselves, how to come up with their original thoughts, and not need it to come from somebody else. Because when they're brought into this world, they're shown on TV and by family, by friends. This is what you need. This is what you have to be. This is what you need to be cool. This is what you have to want. And this is how life is. And it's just like, and if you stop and you ask, how many times you told a kid to, hey, be yourself? How many times? And it's like, but you're asking them to be something that they don't know. And it's like, it's so confusing. I remember just before things got, before I got to where I was and everything, and things became even complicated in my life. Things were already complicated. Like I was a teenager. I was angry all the time. I had puberty happening. There were a lot of factors going into my life, and I'm like confused. And yet, and so I wish that, and I was blessed actually to have adults in my life who really helped me to figure out who I am and figure out what I want to do with my life. And so I want to do that same thing for other kids, and allow them to really learn how to express themselves. Now, the deaf side of it, why I want to be a creative writing teacher for a deaf school, is actually because I'm hard of hearing. So I learned ASL, and I became, very good friends.
ASL is American Sign Language.
Yeah, American Sign Language. I always forget. Some people don't know what that means. But
show me your tattoo.
So I have a tattoo here that's actually in sign language on my arm that says, if not now, then when. It means a lot.
You were completely deaf, Jay, for
in
one side.
my left ear. So I'm deaf in my left ear. And I've lost a little bit of hearing in my right ear.
And this hurts our balance?
It hurt my balance at first. I was having problems with
And you
spins.
overcome that, man. That's
No, definitely.
impressive.
It was a learning.
Yeah, I know one guy, for example, in Jiu-Jitsu that he's deaf from a year, and he's huge and strong. And every time he competes, he has to pull guard because standing his balance. So man, it's now.
Is this the guy that won ACC?
No, he won the trials.
He's good.
Yeah, he's really good. He's from Finland. And so now it's even more impressive. Like, man, that's crazy here. Like, because I don't think like 99% of the people would overcome this first thing here that you did. Like,
For sure. I mean,
because this is supposed to hurt our balance like bad.
No, yeah, and there's ways to overcome it, and it's like I think that a big thing for me was I got to get involved in a culture that I probably never would have even been around had this not occurred in my life, and so like I at first I will admit like it was scary. You know, it's a scary situation. I remember
when that happened and how that happened.
So my sophomore year of college, I was at Mizzou, and and then I remember that there was a day in practice where I just kind of got really, really dizzy. I got really dizzy, and something was wrong. And then I'm thinking like, well, I sweat a lot. If you don't know me, I sweat a ton.
Yeah, how much do you lose a practice?
I probably lose around maybe nowadays it's less, but probably around like 8 or 7 pounds of practice now. But before, when I was in college, like I'd probably lose around 10
if
to
you
12.
watch it like a legendary match, like with him and Taylor, you actually turned the mat into like an ocean. I mean, it was like a skating rink up there.
Hey, man, I'm trying to give the fishes a place to swim. All right, that's what I'm trying to do.
But man, 8 pounds during a practice.
Yeah,
oh my God,
for sure.
that's a lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I remember I'm thinking, all right, I'm dehydrated, so I'm just gonna go home. I'm gonna drink some water, and I'll be fine. So I go home, I'm fine. I drink my water. I'm like, all right, cool, everything's cool. So then I actually started realizing I started having these episodes where I would be dizzy or like the room would start spinning more frequently in everyday life. Going upstairs, going up an elevator, it would just start affecting me more. So I remember I went to practice one day and it happened again, and I went to my trainer and I was like, hey man, Shane, something's wrong. Like I keep spinning and something's up with me, and he's like, all right, well, we'll give you a concussion test, right? And I take a concussion test, I pass it. He's like, well, we'll keep an eye on it. Let's just figure this out. And as time progresses, it just kind of gets worse. And I'm like, something is wrong with me. So then we go to the hospital, go to the doctors, and the thing they told me was like there would possibly be a tumor behind my eye. Like, and I was like,
I'd be freaking out.
No. Like, I'm 19 years old and I'm being told this. I'm like, you can't do this to me. Like, I can't be the case, But I get
There's no worse feeling in the world than being in a doctor's office and like you think you're like on a reality show.
Right? Yeah. It's like
what? No, that can't happen to me.
It's like I couldn't believe it. It's like, so then I remember I got an MRI and then thank goodness no tumor, and I was like, whew, that's great. And so I remember we just said, all right, we'll keep an eye on it. Let's figure this out. And as time went on, it kind of got worse. And then I realized, like, I'm like, my coach would be like across the room, and I'm like, I can't tell what he's saying to me. Like I can't hear him. Like I can't tell what he's saying. So I'd be asking my teammates, like, hey, what did he say to do? And he's like, he said to do this. Aren't you paying attention? I'm like, I am. I can't hear what he's saying. So then I'm like, okay, I went to Shane. I'm like, Shane, I'm having trouble hearing Coach in the room. He's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like I can't hear him when he's across the room. Like I can't make out what he's saying. And then at that point, we went to an ears, nose, and throat specialist at Mizzou. And he and then they realized that I had lost 35 decibels in my left ear. And then I was like, and they're like, that would explain why you had dizziness, because like it was just such a dramatic drop. Because usually, like as obviously as you get older, you also lose decibels to hearing, right? So, but you don't like fall over, right? There are times where like I would fall over, drop to a knee. I'm like, okay, all right, feels like I'm like walking on like an ocean, or like a little board that's on the water and it's wobbling. So it's like so then they figure that out, and then they it's funny because it's funny now. And I remember that being the case. And then my mother, I remember I told my mom what was happening to me. And she's like, well, your father was born deaf in his right ear, right? And I was like, no. But that would make a lot of sense. Because I remember specifically.
So that was a genetic thing. Like.
Right. So I remember specifically yelling at my father for his attention and just be like, Dad. I wasn't on the right side. That's what it was. I was on the wrong side. That's what it was. And like he'd be like, and finally he'd be like, what? I'm like, did you not hear me at all? He's like, nope. And I was like, wow, okay. So it made sense. And then that's when doctors determined it to be hereditary. And then I remember they wanted to give me like some steroid or something in my ear. And like they gave me 3 options. And I kid you not, this is how they pitched it to me in order. They pitched it to me, either I get a needle and they drive it into my ear and that goes into my cochlear and they give me this medicine like that. Or they would do surgery. They would cut and put a tube into my ear and they put droplets. Or lastly, they said, or you could just take the pill. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take the pill. Why would I choose any of the other 2? Why would I not do that? Why didn't you lead with that one? Like that seems more likely of the 3 for me to choose. My thing is like they gave me options like I would choose the other 2. Like he might not want. Like I just imagine what the conversation was with them. Like, you know what? He seems like a guy that would like a needle to go through his ear. Yeah. He just seems like it.
Let's just cut him open.
Yeah. And then the doctor's like, no. He's way too classy for that. He wants to be put under and have them put a tube in his ear.
A big tube sticking out of his ear.
Right.
He wears ear guards.
And put the droplets in with the pinky up, do it proper like. Yeah, it's exactly. Like, no, none of these. None of these.
But okay, so maybe a tough question here. So for example, when you figure out that you had your ear problem, and that could bother your balance, what went on your mind? Like how, just to understand like how you overcame that. Because probably like a bunch of people would be like, I'm gonna give up, right? Well, how can I win? How can I be a world champion? And probably his goal is to win the worlds or to win the Olympics. How can I win the worlds like without having balance and if I'm fighting on a standing sport? So what went on your mind? Like,
well, I think one thing that I'm blessed with is that I was introduced to this sport early on. And so like I understood the ins and outs of what it takes to be good at this sport. And also like this sport automatically, when you start doing it and your balance, I believe, and a lot of people will attest to this, like things like your balance, obviously conditioning, but a lot of things become, I don't know, simpler, or I guess they open up for you. Like you naturally have this natural balance about you. You feel of your body, of where you're at. And so like when learning this out and figuring out like, wow, this is a lot to take in, I just realized that a lot of things like I have to work harder. That's the way I took it. I was fearful at first. Like, don't get me wrong, like fear crept into my soul because like I'm a person, I love music, I play instruments, I play 5 different instruments. Like this isn't something. Yeah, like I sing, like I love hearing. Like I've never thought of a world without sound. I don't know how to function in the world without sound. So fear struck me at first. And so then I started taking ASL 1, ASL 2, ASL 3 with a woman by the name of Stephanie Logan, greatest woman, one of the greatest women, I should say, that I've ever met. Has been a great friend in my life. But yeah, she took me under her wing. And so what would happen is like we'd be learning about, signs that she wanted to show. But what she did was she never really spoke during class unless she needed to. And she was a huge inspiration for me because she didn't become deaf till she was 23, which is huge because, this has happened to me at 19 and like I don't know what to do. So it's a huge thing. And so her being deaf, she was a huge inspiration for me, myself. And so what she would mouth the words though. So she'd be signing to us, but she would mouth the words. And so I would be able to read her lips. And then I would be like, okay. So as her lips were saying the words and she was signing them, I would write down the word and I would like literally just remember the sign. Or like I also became really good friends with the TAs, Hayden Crystal. He was a huge help because he would take, like I would go and, we would go to Starbucks or something and he would teach me, right? So many classes. And then also Laura was another TA that would help me so much, and actually at the time they were dating, so it made it a lot easier to have more teachers to help out, right? And Laura and Hayden was also deaf, right? So but Hayden would help me out as well to learn more signs and pick up on things quicker, and it was a huge help. I remember there were times where I would be in tears, about the situation, and Hayden and Laura would be there for me, So it's like, it's a huge change in someone's life for that to be the case. But they introduced me like naturally with the class, like you have to go to like there's a Fulton School of the Deaf in Fulton. And so in Fulton, Missouri. So I went to that, because you had to go to like one event for the class. And it was just awesome to see like this community. And I remember I've gone to a couple of football games. I've gone to volleyball games, and it was just really cool to see, this community come together, and it's like to be part of this community that was not like any other that I've been a part of before. And then actually after that, I went to Colorado in 2017, and I actually went to I think it's CSDB, which is the Colorado School for the Deaf and Blind, and it was really cool. I got to meet the wrestling team, and I got to sign with them, hang out. I actually took a friend with me, and actually I took one of the national team coaches with me as well, and they had a translator there so they could understand what they were saying and stuff. So like beginning to be in this, and I plan on going back. Actually, when I get back home, I'm gonna actually go back to CSDB and get to meet with those guys again, those guys and gals, and it was really awesome to be to get to do that. But like this, it's been like an eye opening. It's different. It's a different. It took that fear away from me.
Yeah.
It took it all away.
I hope you don't go meet them right before a big competition. when you're training hard.
Maybe not. But those guys, those guys and gals I got to meet.
They're pretty good level.
Well, I mean, I've never watched them wrestle, so like I never got to watch them wrestle. Only time I got to meet them like for lunch at their schools and stuff, and and hang out with them. So I've never got to see them wrestle. I hope to. Actually, one of the teammates that was
I
on.
mean, you got to train with them.
No. So I got to and actually I tried to. I remember
because based on how today went, I don't recommend that to anyone.
But it was fun.
Look at Bernardo's eye.
I'm so sorry.
3 minutes. 3 minutes training. I want to train me 3 minutes. Imagine if that was 1 hour.
Hey, you took the shot. I was simply trying to defend my legs.
I don't even know when that happened. I have a purple here on my face, guys. It was 3 minutes training. But Jay, man, I love the message about the fear, because I think like there are two types of fears, right? There is the fear that paralyzes you, and there is the fear that's like a kick in the butt, and you move forward.
Call, yeah,
wake up call. Yeah. So, and I think like we choose which one we're gonna have, right? Like we have the fear, and we can see which way we're gonna go. So, it's awesome that I hope this stays as a message for everybody. He had a ton of fear, and man, was your career online, right?
No, definitely. I mean, it was a different
and
thing.
you chose the kick in the butt.
I think it's also like people around you. When you have this moment, I was blessed to have people around me who were willing to not only help but also kind of have experience in the field. So it's like it was really awesome for me.
Yeah, and I wonder here, like, if you didn't have that happen, if you would have worked as hard as you did to become who you are. I'm sure some other thing would happen, like maybe you lose some guy that you didn't like losing,
right.
And then you would create that motivation. But it's awesome to see like how little obstacles that we overcome.
For sure.
You look where you are right now.
Well, it created so much. Not only the culture, but like I got to meet. There was a kid by the name of Braden. I got to meet him. He's also deaf. He has cochlear implants, and he became a huge fan of. He was a huge fan of mine, and then when he found out that I was hard of hearing, I remember because on the news thing they said like he gets something signing that we're the same, and he became a really good friend of mine. He's only a kid, but the kid plays bass guitar. I play bass guitar. We both signed, and it was just fun getting to know him and his family. So it just opened up so many doors and created so many relationships that I'm blessed to have to this day.
Oh, I agree, man. That's amazing. Yeah, and any other question, Michael?
So you took up a new hobby tonight. You tried gi grappling for the first time.
Yeah, actually, that was kind of like on my list of questions. So, what are your hobbies? Like, what do you do when you're not wrestling? And I have another question.
Okay, well, my hobbies, I love. Is it bad if I say YouTube's a hobby? I love watching YouTube videos. I get caught into it. Like, I click one. Holes. And then, and I'm clipping another one. I'm like, oh, that looks nice. Let's watch that. All right. It's only 3 more minutes. Let's watch this one. Like, I've
already been thinking of one that I'm going to send you later.
Don't get me in trouble. You're going to have me stuck on my phone.
It's not a bad one, but it's going to be very relevant to you. Do you know about Jerry Rice?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Did you know about his off-season regimens?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You know about the hills?
Yes. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely know.
Yeah.
And I love, actually.
So this is the greatest wide receiver of all time, probably the greatest football other than Tom Brady, the greatest non-quarterback ever. And how this guy trained was with a hill in California. And it was kind of like, and it doesn't really translate that much to football, I guess, because football's not necessarily an endurance sport, but he had better endurance than anyone else. And he was also like by a mile, so much better than everyone else. But he got such a mental edge from running those hills. Yeah.
And he's like, I remember, I think he won the Super Bowl, and the next day he was out catching, he was running routes. The next day he was running routes back at the stadium, back at the practice field. So it's like, dude was like in tune with what he wanted to do and how great he wanted to be.
For sure.
But like, I know for me, like, so you're talking about like my hobbies, I play instruments. I love playing guitar. I love to sing. I love to write songs. I love to write poetry. There are a lot of things I love to do. I love to, sign with my friends. I FaceTime with Laura. I haven't talked to Hayden in a while, though. I know Hayden's been killing it in New York. So I don't know what he's up to now, but I definitely need to reconnect with him. But I know I haven't talked with Laura for a little bit, but I know that she's in Arizona and working with horses. She loves horses. In fact, her sign name actually is this is the sign for horse. So her name is Laura. So it's an L put to your head, and you do like the horses. It's like the horse's ear moving, right? So that's a really cool comparison. And Hayden's Jewish. So Hayden's the sign for Hanukkah. So this is Hayden. So it's pretty cool. We have really cool sign names. So and mine's actually J'Den. So this is J'Den.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and the reason it's this is because it's like the reverse. This is the sign for performance, right, or drama, right? So when I got shown this sign, Hayden showed it to me. I was dancing, like doing the salsa with it, and Hayden caught me, and I like stopped, and I was just like, "You didn't see that, right?" And Hayden's like, "You were dancing while you were doing that." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's like doing the salsa." It's the performance, right? And he's like, yeah, that's just kind of awkward. And so then he gave me the sign, J'Den. So it's like J's, so backwards. So it's signed for like performance, just backwards.
Yeah. So Jay, so you use your hobbies as like a getaway of wrestling, right? Problem, right?
Oh yeah. When I'm off the mat, I honestly, for the most part, I really kind of don't like to talk about wrestling. Okay. I like to kind of get away from it completely, especially when I'm around family and friends. Like, I'd rather us just like let's just get away from it.
And do you study a lot what you do and like and wrestling in general? Like
do I study wrestling a lot? I mean, I think about it. I won't lie. Like I think about it, and I mostly like I have dreams about moves or something I'll do, and I'm like, that might work.
And what about like your competitors and that?
Oh no, I don't watch film.
I got it.
I never watch film. I don't like watching film because I don't. My mindset is focused on me completely. What I'm gonna do. My job is to make sure this guy's gonna stop me, and I don't want to look at anything he does because what I've learned in the past is some of the matches I've lost have become because I didn't react. I was simply waiting. I was waiting for somebody to do something, and so like let's say. Like my opponent does double legs, right? And so I'm waiting for him to shoot a double leg, and the next thing you know, he shoots a single leg. But I wasn't ready to defend it because I was looking for a double leg this whole time. Because
you're not focusing on yourself.
And that's what I say to him as he's shooting him. Like, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah. You were supposed to shoot a double. That's what you did on film. That's what you do now. So I don't watch film at all. In fact, I have my coaches watch film, and what they'll do is they'll come in and they'll be like I remember Brian Smith would be like, "Okay, J'Den, today like they don't tell me he does this. They don't come in here and say like, hey, J'Den, this guy does this, this, and this, and this. So we're going to do this, this, and this. They say, hey, J'Den, today we're going to work on defending a high single. We're going to work on the legs. The guy having the legs down on top. And we're going to work, while you're on top, we're going to work on the guy sitting out and what we do to stop that. And, you know, so even though I know in my mind that's probably what this guy does, it's more natural for me when I go out there. I'm not looking for just one thing. I've just been working on what,
I remember when I was competing in Jiu-Jitsu, I used to hate watching my opponents fight, especially like when I won my match and I'm going to fight against who wins against that match. Someone's going to win, so someone's going to do well. And you're watching that guy doing well, and you have all these nightmares going in your mind. I would rather not watch it. You know, just tell me who is the person.
No, for real. But like, why would you put yourself into a trap before the match even begins, right? I'm not going to do that. All right? I don't want to have to imagine myself getting whooped. All right? I'm not going to do that. So like, I always just, I focus on me. My job is to make you stop me. That's what it is. And so there's no you, right? It's only on me.
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing.
What were we talking? How did you like the gi grappling tonight?
Oh, I loved the gi grappling.
Really? First time you ever tried it?
It was great, man. It was great. It was a wonderful time. I got to roll with. I got to roll with Joe, in the first round, and Joe showed me some chokes. I tried to hit him.
Joe is your practice partner in the video.
Yeah. So
Joe works very close with us. He's going to be instrumental in building out Fanatic Wrestling.
No, for sure. Great guy, by the way. Very funny.
Great behind the scenes guy with.
Literally.
We shot an entire instructional video with Jay, but I think the type of video that we should have shot and we didn't, that I think everybody would love to watch, it was Jay did a grappling match, like just training with Travis Stevens. So just picture that. Travis second place in the Olympics for judo. Jay got third in the Olympics on wrestling and won the words for wrestling, and they did like a jiu-jitsu match with gi on.
In a third sport.
So they were both on the third sport. Oh, and I didn't watch it, but I bet everybody would love to watch that. We should have that on video.
It was crazy to watch. We could have sold that one.
Yeah,
definitely.
We would never do that, but
it was different. You know, like the gis changed, like you know how we talked about today when we made the video, talked about how, you know, just changing the like where they're on my knees, or changing how I move can change the perception of things. Well, that's kind of like how the gi acts. You know, it just it would like,
it's a completely different sport.
Yeah, it felt way different. And like when you went to throw, I would feel like, oh, I'm out of the zone, like the danger zone of getting thrown. And the next thing you know, my feet are coming off the mat, and I'm like, gosh dang it, like how did that happen? And he explained that stuff to me. Like, so I remember I got thrown twice today, and it was awesome. It wasn't anything hard, but it's definitely stuff that got me off my feet. And he tapped me out with a triangle and an armbar, and it was awesome just to feel how different this sport is
it's
compared.
Another sport. Yeah.
Oh, I loved it though. I enjoy getting to do it.
Yeah, and Travis is a jiu-jitsu black belt as well. So we're not going against
he said to me, he's like, wow, these guys are really good with the arm locks. Well, you realize you're going against like maybe the most well-rounded gi grappler in the world. I mean, by the time like Travis is a very high-level jiu-jitsu black belt. He's an Olympic silver medalist in judo. Like, I mean, you know, there's not a lot of guys that can do it. Great guy. Yes. I mean, one of my best friends.
No, I'm sure if you go against like a black belt who does jiu-jitsu for hobby and like some, the guy would have a hard time, even though like
I had a real tough time with it.
Even though you have never done
happened,
I try, man. I try.
I'm a 6-year black belt, and like I couldn't get the guy swept. I mean, it was just, I actually got him into position where it didn't work, and then he went and did a split. I'm like, no, you can't do that. That's against the rules. But no one, like I'm thinking like I just don't know what to do right now. Like he's there completely in a split. Like that's just not supposed to happen. You're 205 pounds and very athletic for a ton of days. Like, whoa, yeah.
Yeah, guys, as who is listening probably might know, one of my favorite positions is single leg, right? Coming from the half guard. So when I do with Jay, I was like, Jay, let me start here from the half guard with the single leg. And that was a no-gi, so it was hard. And I had no chance. If I would compete here against Jiu-Jitsu, I would change my strategy. I can tell you that. I would not try a single leg. I would push the close guard. Try some omoplata. I would not go with the...
See, and the thing is, though, is like I totally, like, and I told you, like, when I come back, I would love to try it again. Like, it was a different. I love learning new things. I love trying different. It was a different feel.
Put the gi on. You had
I
never
never
tried
put the gi on. I didn't know how to tie the belt.
Awesome.
And people were walking like, "Who's this white belt?" Like, why don't you try him? See how that goes.
And it was fun getting to feel the difference of the sports. You know, there's totally a lot to learn, and I would love to come back and do it again. You know, it was like, I think the most taxing it was on my hands. Like, my fingers were so tired from from grabbing everything, you know? So, that was the most tired. I have a little blister on the top of my middle finger on my right hand. But other than that, you know, I came out of there pretty well. That's not true. I busted my tooth a little bit too. I had to stop it halfway and be like, "Hey man, can I spit my tooth out?" I busted a little bit. It wasn't anything major, but it was fun. And I told him, like, I would love to come back and do it again. And plus, I told Travis that, hey, I'm gonna have to come back and get you back on this one, because I'm gonna give this one. You won this one. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna train.
That's a tough one.
And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna try and get you back. But he was an awesome guy. I'm glad that he went with me, and I got to feel what a world level, you know, one of the best in the world, you know, how they feel in their art, and it was amazing. So hopefully they'll have me back whenever I return back to Boston. And I get to do some more.
But you had the iron here. I mean, you had Bernardo and you had Travis. I mean, it doesn't get too much tougher than that.
Oh, I think it's like the feel of it is just so much different. You know, it's so much different. And once you know. And that, you know, once Travis explained to me kind of what was going on and how things were operating, it kind of made more sense. You know, before I'm just like going off.
Smart with that stuff.
Right. Before I was just like going out there and like, well, I'm going to wrestle you. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to try not to get choked or tapped out, you know. And I'm proud to say Travis was the only person to get it on me. And with that being an Olympic silver medalist, I'll take that as the win for the day, going against different people. So it was a lot of fun, definitely a lot of fun. But it changes so much with that gi.
It's a completely another sport.
Well, it's so hot. I was burning up. Did you not? I was trying not to drip on people's faces because I was sweating so bad. But you know, it was a lot of fun, and you know, these guys were very welcoming, very open, and they were not only, you know, willing to go with me and go hard, but they're willing to teach me, you know, and help me out to understand kind of what was going on. And I know Joe showed me some submissions and everything. I tried to get one on you. It wasn't working, but you know, I do my best. I do what I can.
It should have been. I'm like this guy's never trained. He's an Olympic. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world, but like, he shouldn't be tapping me out with a gi choke. So he got like a kanto thing on my neck. I'm like, I can't tap to this. Like, okay, I got help, but like, oh my god, woof. That was kind of close.
But it's definitely something I would love to come back and do again.
Man,
and
we'd love to have you back.
And I would love to do more. You know, you know. Who knows? You know, after wrestling, that might be the next calling. We don't know. I don't know.
But so guys, we just shot two instructions with Jay. One for Fanatic Wrestling. That's all like wrestling for wrestlers, and also one wrestling for grapplers. So it's coming out great, and this one we're gonna have on both websites. So. Any question left here, Michael?
No, J'Den, it's been an absolute honor having you. You're one of our favorite guys already. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I mean, it's been cool. I love getting to meet new people who are awesome, and who have goals and mindsets that are definitely competitive in that. I love people who are competitive, but also who are also very kind and just all around good people. So thank you guys for having me. Awesome. It's been great building this relationship, and I look forward to coming back and the more that we can do.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Jay. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.